Welcome to Anime Out of Context, a comedy review show where a man completely immersed in anime culture torments his co-host, who is only allowed to watch the shows featured here. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/animeoutofcontext. Alongside over 100 hours of exclusive bonus material, all episodes uploaded to Patreon are completely ad-free, even to non-patrons. Thank you for listening, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Anime Out of Context, the show where I attempt to explain the sometimes weird, sometimes wonderful, but always hilarious world of anime.
And in my heart, it's still October.
I'm Shaun Rollins.
I'm Remington Chase.
And, hey, gonna part the kimono a little bit. It's still October when we're recording this.
Yeah. And I'm not ready to leave spooky season emotionally, Shaun.
No, and I genuinely, Rem, I didn't think you would be. So, since it's technically when this comes out, not October anymore, and I think patrons might get this on the 31st, so they'll probably want some kind of spooky flavor. I figured, Rem, I would do something that's vaguely spooky.
Hell yeah, vaguely spooky. We'll take what we can get.
Yeah. And, Rem, you know what's more vaguely spooky than anything we've done on this podcast?
What Dylan hides in his large case under his bed? That he tells us not to talk about and not even to think about?
There's nothing vague about that, my guy.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Rem, the thing that scares you the most, a revisit.
Oh, fuck.
But not just any revisit, Rem. I don't have any grand tricks for you this time. I don't have any grand schemes. I just have what has heavily been requested for a long time, and I figured it's kind of spooky. It kind of fits the vibe. It definitely traumatized a lot of young folk. I know that much. So, Rem, today we're going to be returning to and finishing Puella Magi Madoka Magica.
Oh, shit!
Yeah. I figured it's about time. I mean, it's been, nearly 7 years. Yeah.
It's been so long.
Yep. Hey, look, man. People ask me, hey, when are you going to go back to this? I always tell them, eventually. And
now you know the statute of limitations for eventually. It can go up to 7 years.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if next year I'm like, you know what? We really should just revisit. Oh God, what's one of the first few we did that we haven't revisited? We really need to revisit a Forest Fairy 5. That's what we really need to do.
It's what the people want.
Yeah. But no, Rem, no, I figured it's about time because one of the first, phrases of anime you ever had to say was for the initial plot twist of Puella Magi Madoka Magica, or just Madoka for short, which is, the sudden dark twist that happens in the end of episode 3 that you're not prepared for because throughout... Also, it goes without saying, this is a revisit. You should have definitely listened to the first episode of this, even though it was a while ago, and you definitely should watch the anime yourself because the twist is kind of what put it on the map in the first place. The twist of it being a lot darker than intentioned, involving the death of a character that seemed like a mainstay for the franchise, considering, they're on the fucking cover of the anime.
Yeah, to make a horror comparison, it's Scream.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like, yes, here, this person clearly has plot armor. I mean, look how much effort and how many resources the creators have placed into them. They wouldn't do that for no reason. And then it's like, oh, fuck, what the hell?
Yeah,
so they just did all
she's
that.
She's hanging from a tree and has her guts ripped out. Yep.
So it's like they put in all that work just to trick me. And yes, and I love it.
Yep. And, it is essentially, if you were to compare it to Scream, it is like the magical girl version of Scream.
There we go.
Yeah, just with emphasis on the darker side of magical girl shows, because sometimes some plot points in older magical girl shows are pretty dark and fucked up when you think about them in a logical way, right?
Yeah.
The last magical girl show we did, Cardcaptor Sakura, it's wild that nobody died in that because releasing all of those demon cards should have killed so many people.
So many.
But hey, what if there was some killing? And I figured might as well finish it because the first how to describe it, because it's a popular franchise, Rem. So of course there's more than just its initial run, but the first, let's call it proper series, let's say, is only 12 episodes, and you watched I think 4 originally. At the very minimum 3, but I think 4 because I wanted to get the after effects of what happens after, watching a lovely character's head get munched clean off by a giant jester worm thing.
Yeah.
So I think 4 episodes is what we watched initially. So in theory, you'd only have to watch 8, but since it's been so long, if you wanted to watch the first 4 again to refresh yourself, it wouldn't take you too long.
Yeah, there's a decent chance.
Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. For those who don't know how magical girl shows work, it's pretty straightforward. Generally speaking, you have your plucky, optimistic young protagonist who has like just the purest heart and the greatest intentions, and one day they interact with a magical item, a magical person, or in this case, a magical creature. A lot of times these creatures are used as the mascot character for the show. The beloved merch icon who also helps progress the story and instructs the magical girls on how their powers works and their goal in becoming essentially little local superheroes. And in this case, it's our lovely little creature, Kyubey. Remember Kyubey, Rem?
Oh God, I don't.
Oh, it's like a little white cat with bright red eyes and a like Thousand Island stare. Thousand Island?
Thousand Island. Oh man.
Oh man, that's a saucy stare.
I tell you what, when this little freak looks at your salad, oh, it becomes so flavorful.
What? Thousand Island stare. What is the matter with me? Holy Christ.
When Shaun hits me with that Thousand Island stare, oh God, I'm so creamy.
Well, that's a fun sound bit for Dylan to use later. No, here he is.
Okay, sure.
Yep. This little fella is like, hey, we need some magical girls to deal with witches in this alternate dimension that are threatening, the peace of the world.
Oh yeah, this motherfucker, he just recruited people he's just recruiting fucking random girls to be like, hey, you want to join the battle between good and evil, as you often see in magical girls shows. And you're like, I don't know, that feels kind of irresponsible, which I feel like I've talked about with other magical girls shows. And then Madoka Magica's like, yeah, and it is. Look.
Yep. But hey, you're right. That's a big risk to ask somebody. But he's not giving it to you for free. No.
Yeah.
He says it's a lot, so I can at minimum grant you one wish, whatever you desire.
And
you make that
now.
contract with him, and then you become a magical girl and get to fight the things while also getting your wish granted, which is, of course, very magical girl.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like one of your problems is like, man, this seems wildly irresponsible to let these young kids do.
It's my favorite magical Ponzi scheme.
Yes, correct. And it is very much, that's how it starts. In the first 3 episodes, it's like, oh man, our main pink-haired protagonist, Madoka, is like waffling and whiffling over what she should make her wish be throughout the whole thing. And in the meantime, her best friend, Sayaka, makes a wish for the boy that she likes, who happens to be very sickly. And they're also introduced to Tomoe Mami, who is already a magical girl and is essentially kind of like their mentor figure in this situation. Until, of course, the dark twist happens and she gets munched and crunched.
Yeah.
And then the true darkest side of this magical girl show starts to show itself. And it's like, oh no, we're actually going to kill these magical girls. That's fucked. That's a little fucked. And what a place to leave off on it nearly 7 years ago.
It's a good God, it's been so long.
It's been so long. And of course, there's another character that's Madoka's interested in, but not necessarily in the magical girl sense. There's kind of like some vibes. Maybe she's a magical girl, maybe not. A Homura Akemi, who is like the cold and distant new girl at school. But Madoka, being the happy, spunky Genki girl that she is, wants to be friends with everybody, so of course she's interested in her as well. But that's essentially like the briefest of briefest summaries of what you watched. A lot happened in those 4 episodes, and hey, consequences for actions, those are great. And whether or not this whole series as a whole ends up being something that you love and adore by the end, I can't guarantee, because Rem, it's anime, and you have your predilections towards it.
Yeah.
But it goes without saying, like, nowadays we get dark magical girl shows all the time, but this is very much one of the ones that really brought it forward into the cultural zeitgeist. Because this was released back in 2011, which was a very popular year for anime. So, Rem, do you have any questions, or do you just want to go straight into it?
Nah, let's jump into this after all this time.
Yeah, no. So let's go back into it. Let's go finish watching Puella Magi, Madoka Magica. And we are back after watching the entirety of the first season of Maho Shoujo Madoka Magica, or Puella Magi Madoka Magica. And Remington, this was a long time coming. And I'm not expecting you to think this is the best show you've ever seen in your goddamn life. But at the very least, I just hope that you have a full and complete understanding of why this show is very special for a lot of people.
Yeah, basically, the question on everybody's mind, right? Because I have had high praise for the first 4 episodes for ages, for eons, for 6 fucking years.
Yeah.
And the question is, all right, can it maintain that? Is Remington gonna keep up that opinion, or is something going to go awry?
You know, before we recorded, we talked about the deafening nature of silence, Remington.
Ultimately, I think the answer is a little bit in the middle.
I'll take it.
I still like this show quite a bit.
Perfect. Podcast
this
over. We don't need to talk about it.
There you go. We're done. We're nice and easy.
Yep.
It'll be our shortest part 2 yet, asterisk, for a few more months. And
you son of a bitch. When people find out what you did to me, they're gonna...
That's fine. Hey, that's not... That's for... Look, that's not for now, though. That's for later. I think that this show, like, especially when it comes to the witches, has some of the best art and animation and just visual style that we have ever covered on the podcast. And it's crazy that we did it in our first 10, and that statement still holds true.
Well, yeah. Like Rem, I was very careful about what I showed you for our first 10 episodes.
Especially after last week, where
the exact opposite. The exact opposite.
Yeah.
It's almost like I did that on purpose. Woo-hoo, look at me being clever.
It's so nice to see just high quality, interesting, unique, weird shit.
Yep. Studio Shaft is known for their weird shit when it comes to animation.
So I'll give anybody who perhaps you listened to the episode 6 years ago and you've forgotten a few details. I'll give you a very brief refresher on the first 4 episodes before we jump in.
Yeah, in case my refresher wasn't good enough for y'all.
Yeah, we got Madoka, innocent and unsure. We got Sayaka, a little bit more fiery, but and very close with Madoka. Mommy, she gets got. and we had Hamura, who's being mysterious and weird, and what's going on with her. And then we saw Kyoko, mysterious girl in red, who really wanted to kill Sayaka. And Kyubei, who was an evil cunt.
Oh yeah, like, as far as evil anime characters go, Kyubei's pretty up there.
And now here's the thing.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And it should come as no surprise. Spoilers from this point forward.
Oh yeah.
I think they kind of fucked up Kyubei.
Oh.
In fact, I think that just about every character doesn't quite hit as high and as successfully as their initial trajectory would have you believe. They each under-deliver, some by differing amounts, and many of them are still interesting and good characters. But it's a case where some of them started out and it was like, oh, you're going to be a great character, or even like an iconic character, and then you end up just being a good character that's still a thumbs up, but, you know, there's a tiny bit of disappointment there. Now I get to try and figure out what the best way of going through so many episodes, and these are not easy breezy, a little bit filler here episodes.
No.
These are some dense packed episodes.
Like, it's almost like trying to force somebody to watch a 22 episode, 40-minute long season of a show that they had no interest in watching. That it's hard to get through a lot of that stuff.
God, that would be barbaric.
Yeah, but at least the majority of the stuff we're going through here is quality.
Yeah.
So I think keep it simple, keep it summarized.
I'll try to do big picture stuff of every episode and then tie it all in.
Yeah.
And we'll see how successfully I am able to do that.
Hey, man, look, I knew it was going to be a dense 12 episodes, but I didn't think like having a part 3 on Madoka that didn't like tackle the movies or side series would have been kind of pointless. So you had to get it all at once because, you know, like there's a whole other sequel movie. Right? There's these 12 episodes reframed into 2 movies. Madoka's pretty big in the grand scheme of things.
I'm gonna level with you.
Yeah.
I don't think I have an interest in any of the movies. I don't.
The first 2 is just like a condensed version of the 12 episodes.
Cool. I don't have an interest, I think, in the sequel movie. Because there's a little bit of Promised Neverland syndrome going on. Which I'll explain when we get there.
Well, I will say people love the movie, so it's not a universal hatred, but I understand what you're saying.
I even suspect why, but we'll get there. I did end up rewatching the first 4 episodes because, you know, it's been 6 fucking years.
Oh, you don't have them seared into your brain like I do?
A handful of moments, but not big picture. I also made in the last time we covered it, I made plenty of predictions. I actually made a new one when watching the 4 episodes. And it was correct. I made it in either the beginning of episode 3 or the end of episode 2. And it was just about the nature of magical girls and witches. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what they're setting up here. Now that I'm all anime savvy, and I was correct, and we'll get there. So, episode 5, I'm looking at genuinely each episode. It's a small wall of text in my notes. So I forgive me if it takes a second as I scan this wall of text and find the line through it.
Oh my god.
So Sayaka is a magical girl now, right?
Yeah.
And Sayaka is feeling a lot of that obligation, being like, oh, it's possible I could have like saved mommy if I had made the decision earlier, right? And Madoka is very worried about her friend. And so has a chat with Hamura and is like, hey, look, I know that you're like weird and detached and everything, and you don't want me to be a magical girl, but could you like look out for Sayaka? And Hamura's like, Sayaka's fucked.
Yeah, very straightforward. Like it's once you pass a certain threshold with this magical girl stuff, there's no going back.
Yeah, Hamura's just like, give up now. And Madoka's like, excuse me, motherfucker, what the hell? And so we get Sayaka confronting Witch's familiar, right? And Madoka's tagging along because that's what Madoka does.
Mm-hmm.
But then they're interrupted by the red hair girl, Kyoko, and she interrupts and lets the familiar escape. And Kyoko is like, Sayaka, you dumb motherfucker, you don't kill familiars because familiars don't got the grief seeds that can cleanse their soul gems. You gotta let them grow to witches, nice dangerous witches. Which also, in hindsight, I don't think I understand anymore how familiars really work. I think there's...
Yeah, it's like, it's just essentially it's the Charmeleon of the magical girl to witch pipeline.
Yeah. It's kind of, I guess it's kind of like how aliens, like xenomorphs in Alien, right?
Right.
They give birth to facehuggers, which then impregnate a separate entity, so like a human, which will then merge the DNA and create a xenomorph. So it's like a weird bifurcated reproductive system.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't worry about it.
It's weird and stylistic, but fun. That's it.
Yeah, Kyoko is like, you need grief seeds. You can only get that from witches. Killing familiars, it's a waste of time. And Sayaka's like, you out of your fucking mind. Familiars can still hurt people. Witches can hurt people, but more so. And Kyoko's like, that's the food chain, baby. You got witches feasting on humans, and we feast on the witches. And then Saika and Kyoko end up combating one another, and Kyoko like knocks Saika down, is like, I'm gonna fuck you up. And Kyubey is like, oh man, Madoka, no, they're gonna fight. This could be dangerous. If only we had a super powerful other magical girl that could help intervene. Otherwise, I don't know what'll happen.
Kyubey, the little shit stirrer.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about Kyubey, right? Yep. I love him as a manipulative shit stirrer. We will learn that is wildly inconsistent with his lore, and with the kind of direction they take him in. With Kyubey, they'll end up taking him in two separate directions, both of which are interesting on their own, but both of which cannibalize one another. But right now, he's just a manipulative little shit, and with enough plausible deniability, which is what I really like about it. Like, it's not being an overt asshole. It's just being, like, pushy, but then being like, but, you know, it's your choice. I wouldn't pressure you. Before Madoka can make a deal, Hamura hops in, saves Saika. Bada bing, bada boom. We also learned in this episode that, and I think we learned in this episode that your powers as a magical girl are relevant to the wish that you make. Episode 6. Kyoko is looking at Hamura, is like, nah, fuck that. And bounces. Hamura is like, Madoka, you dumb motherfucker, stop getting yourself involved. How many times do I need to tell you this?
But she wants to be with her friend.
She just wants to be with her friend. And once again, I said it in the very first episode we did on Madoka. Madoka and Saika's chemistry is great.
Yeah.
They maintained this phenomenal dynamic the whole way through. Asterisk.
Yes, well. Look, I know the asterisk.
So, Hamura ends up talking to Kyoko and is like, look, I don't want Saika running the city either. I'm fine if you do, but don't go killing her. All right, I'll sort it out. Also, there's a giant witch coming. The fucking Walpurgis snacked. And
man, I'm sure the Germans loved that.
The Walpurgis snacked.
I think that's worse.
Just say it with a greater degree of anger, and it's also carries with it a greater degree of accuracy.
You know, it was nice having a German audience.
That's why Duolingo, like, it'll be like, I don't know, you sounded kind of like a timid bitch if you're learning German, and it'll be like, not quite. I'm not feeling the implicit rage.
Yeah, all right, you know, sure, why not? I think our editor's part German. Can't wait to hear what he says about this.
That boy's filled with implicit rage.
Except for when it becomes very explicit at us for our recording schedule.
No, ain't that the truth? So, the big witch is coming, all right? And Hamura and Kyoko are planning on taking it on together. Meanwhile, Saika is talking to Madoka about, Saika's skeptical about Hamura. She's like, look, that motherfucker just kind of let mommy die, has been everywhere, but not in a super helpful way, isn't saying shit, isn't explaining shit. Fuck that. Which, you know, pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
And Saika and Madoka's like, oh, but she's a magical girl, not a witch. And Saika is like full radical at this stage, is like, look, I am super powerful now, and I'm here to protect people and do good. If there is evil in this world, I don't care if it's a witch or a magical girl. I gotta do something about it. And like Madoka is sad, and Kyubey is like, oh man, it's such a shame because Saika's definitely like too weak to fight those two. Man, if only she had a partner. I relish in Kyubey being a little shit.
Yep.
It's one of the best parts of these episodes. We have a very important chat between Madoka and her mom that I'm not going to get into.
Yeah.
It is basically like the absolute heart of all of the themes discussed. Maybe we'll bring it up later. As an event, it's not super important, but it's where they outline the thematic core.
Yeah, the ethos, if you will. Where's that pathos?
That would be pathos. Well,
Yeah.
I guess that would be a little bit pathos and a little bit logos, honestly.
Yeah.
So, okay, a bunch of stuff happens that we don't need to get into. Eventually, it sets up for Kyoko confronting Sayaka round 2, and Madoka arrives, and Hamura arrives, and is like, motherfucker, we just give me any amount of time to handle this before you try to kill the bitch again. Jesus Christ. And Madoka panics and is like, I don't want Sayaka to fight. So she takes the magical girl soul gem, throws it off the bridge onto the road underneath, and it lands on like a truck going. And then Sayaka dies. She just dies right there.
Yeah.
She's just fucking dead.
Yeah.
And everybody, the other 3 are like, what the fuck? And Hamura goes and chases the soul gem. Apparently there's a 100-meter radius. The girls, they are the soul gems once they transform. That is where their soul is. Their bodies are just shells, and the gems are the person. And it's a nice little interesting wrinkle. They're basically like kind of they use the word zombies a lot. They're just
liches.
zombies, and the real self is right there. And a part of me is like, oh, all right, nice and dark and weird. And another part of me totally sees what Kyubey means every time he is asked about it, where he's like, look, motherfuckers, you either way, your guys' whether your soul is inside or outside of your body, that's not like wildly important. I just made it less fragile and made it so you feel less pain. So why does it matter where it is, strictly speaking? And this is basically the introduction of the second half of Kyubey, which I also like and doesn't work with the first half. Because the first half is manipulative shit starter, right? That little fucking scamp. The second half is pure reason machine who doesn't know what he's doing wrong. Who's just like, guys, this is just, it's the rational thing. I don't know why you guys are yelling at me all the time. Which I also like in its own way. It doesn't work for how, like, manipulative he is. And you can just say, well, it's clear that he's generally dishonest. And so then that ruins the perfect rationality side of things. But then, like, the pretense of perfect rationality, it kind of undermines the being the little scamp thing. I don't think they work well together. I don't think those two halves work well together, but I like them in a vacuum.
I'm fine with both of them, honestly. It's just like, you know, it's like those black and white cookies, you know? You just take a little bite of whichever side you're feeling at the moment, you know? And it's lovely.
Yeah, you know, sure, but it's like, oh, all right. Oh, you're gonna, half of it is gonna be a lovely mint flavor, and the other half is gonna be a lovely orange flavor, and you're like, oh, maybe not together.
Now, Remington, we both know that black and white cookies aren't orange and mint. Let's not, you know, change the narrative here. Like, let's not.
Of course. You've laid down the analogy, and now it cannot be touched. It is sacred.
New Yorkers are very particular about their weird sweet treats, you know? And
is that a New York style thing?
I think it is, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, because I know it's one of those things where I think it was definitely started in New York. And, like, followed with, like, a bunch of imitators and, like, every bodega on the streets. But I feel like it was originally a New York thing, yeah.
Huh, you're right. Crazy.
Hey, look, I know some things. I've been to New York.
I know that you know things, Shaun. I just assume that most of those things are about
Anime?
Japan. Yeah, I just assume they're more weeby. I assume they're less domestic.
I'm a goddamn American, damn it. For better and for worse.
To be an American.
Oh, right. God, people vote. Please vote. Please vote.
So Hamura gets the soul gem, returns it. Sayaka wakes up. Especially Sayaka and Kyoko kind of freak out about this. They're like, what the fuck? We're zombies now? What the hell?
Liches, but yeah.
Well, they use the word zombies. I know
they use zombies, but you know me. You know me.
So in episode 7, Sayaka's like, Kyubey, what the fuck? You lied. And he was like, hey, I didn't say the full truth. That's not a lie. And he explains the reasoning for the gems that we already covered. Madoka asks Hamura and is like, hey, so you knew. And Hamura's like, yeah, 100%. And it's like, and you didn't warn a motherfucker? And then Hamura says, well, I wouldn't have been believed. Okay, all right, all right. Here's one of the biggest issues of this show. And they'll try to justify it later, and I don't think they justify it well later either. Hamura not being upfront and honest makes her much more frustrating and much less sympathetic. Now, this is fine as a mysterious loner side character brought into the group, right? Where it doesn't work is if that character is secretly the emotional core that is driving everything, and you're supposed to deeply sympathize not only with them, but their relationship with these other people. And so, the justification, you wouldn't have believed me, so why even try? Motherfucker, you're just Kyubey at that point. The whole point of Kyubey is like, hey man, you didn't give informed consent, you didn't properly let us know. And Kyubey is like, wouldn't have mattered anyway. And here Hamura's being like, wouldn't have mattered anyway. Motherfucker, that's the villain shit. And they try to paint it otherwise a little bit later, and we'll get to that. But it's so stupid and such a lazy trope in an otherwise well-crafted show, right? That's like put so much effort into these justifications and making it make sense. So to have something so lazy and cliche that genuinely detracts from a lot of what they're doing later, it is wildly unfortunate. We get in this episode, we get some Kyoko backstory about her religious zealot father, and whatnot, and then she made her wish for him, and then he shunned her, and then he killed himself. Hey guys, remember Hitomi? Probably not. I don't think we might have mentioned her in part 1 of this podcast, maybe once.
Yeah.
But also probably not at all.
Yeah.
Hitomi is the third wheel friend of Madoka and Sayaka. Here's a forced plot point. Sayaka is crushing on the dude she made a wish for, to her friend, to make him be able to play violin again. And now he's feeling better and whatnot. Well, but oh no, now Hitomi has a crush on that guy. And Hitomi is like, hey Sayaka, I can tell you have feelings for him, so I'd like you to have the first chance. I don't want to intervene if there's something going on between you two. And Sayaka's like, I don't know. And then it gets kind of weird. And then they force that through. They've not really developed the guy, and they really haven't developed Hitomi. And this is all just to add a little bit of stress to Sayaka, but they spend a lot of time on it, but they haven't done enough. It also feels like it comes out of nowhere because there hasn't been sufficient foreshadowing of Hitomi crushing on this dude. It's a bad plot point. It's a bad plot point, and it helps push an interesting plot point, but it in itself is a bad one.
Yeah, it's very much the vehicle to push Sayaka over that lovely little edge, the little edge where we get the really extra dark, despair, magical girl stuff,
Yeah, and that is compelling, because through the same time, Sayaka, through expending her powers, not using grief seeds, trying to be a hero, and also just being stressed out by everybody and everything, she's getting corrupted. She's getting corrupted. If you don't cleanse your soul gem, then eventually you get too corrupted. Oh no, bad shit happens. And this is an avenue to push that along. Sayaka's corruption, super interesting and compelling. This, it's too forced and too irrelevant to spend the time they do on it. They either need to spend more time or less, all right? Make it a bigger point or make it not a point at all. Right now, it's occupying a lot of real estate, and I don't like it.
Oh, hey, maybe in the reframed movies, they shorten it a little bit better. Who knows?
Well, hey, don't worry, because in signature Remington style, I got a pitch at the end of this episode breakdown.
Fantastic.
So, Sayaka is starting to just kind of lose her fucking mind, right? And is exhausted, is stressed. Things aren't going great for her. And sure enough, Hitomi confesses to the guy, and it doesn't matter what happens. They don't even show it. They're just like, look, all that matters is the confession makes Sayaka sad. And Hamura is like, okay, Sayaka, here's an extra grief seed I have. Take it, cleanse yourself. Jesus Christ. And Sayaka's like, I ain't gonna accept shit from you. I don't work with evil. I don't work with bad motherfuckers. All right? So fuck out of here. And Hamura's like, all right, if that's how it's going to go down, I will just kill you then. And this time Kyoko shows up and intervenes and is like, what the fuck, Hamura? You were going to help her, not kill her. What the hell? And then Hamura, smoke bomb disappears. Madoka and Kyubey chat more about her magical potential and just how she has an absolutely unbelievable amount of it. And Madoka is like, shit, man, I kind of want to make a wish for Sayaka to be human again. I can see this ain't great for her. Mm-hmm. And if I'm able to do that, then, fuck it. All right, let's make a deal. And before she can finish, sealing that contract, Kyubey gets shot the fuck up. Just blasted.
Which
absolutely blasted. I bust a gut laughing. It was hilarious.
Oh, I agree. It's so funny.
Delightfully sudden. And turns out it was Hamura, and Hamura is like, Madoka, for the love of God, see the value in yourself. Stop saying that you're mundane and useless. Jesus Christ. And Madoka's like, before all of this shit, have we met before? Which is a foreshadowing line that doesn't make sense if you think about it, but don't worry about it. Another Kyubey pops up, and there's just plenty of them. They got spare bodies. He eats the old body. Delicious.
Yeah, they're strange space eldritch entities.
Yeah, they're little alien freaks. We'll learn more about them later. And we see that Hamura can do time magic and is from a different timeline. And her and Kyubey sort of chat. And Kyubey, as it turns out, it's from Incubator, which is kind of stupid. It's kind of dumb. It's very much, it's one of those, if you're a native English speaker, yes, 100%. If you're not, though, then it's a little bit more of a fun little surprise. But sure, yeah.
Look, we're both native English speakers.
It's not ruining anything for me, but it is kind of dumb. Especially because I don't think incubator is the word to use. I don't think incubator works the best in this context.
What would you prefer? Foster parent?
Just name him Foster and then Foster parent
with an AU. No.
I'm just imagining that reveal.
Yeah. Look, it's Faustian enough. Might as well.
Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Oh, God. So
people think we're funny, Rem.
I'm amused by us, but I don't expect anybody else to be.
Hey,
so that's revealed. Kyoko and Sayaka, meanwhile, chat as Sayaka is corrupting rapidly and eventually shatters into a big ol' energy spike. And this is when Kyubey notes, and this was the prediction I made at the very beginning of my rewatch here. Kyubey notes that magical girls become witches once they are sufficiently corrupted.
Yeah.
So, episode 9, Kyoko fighting big ol' Sayaka witch. Hamura stops time, explains everything to Kyoko, gets them the fuck out of there, right? They bring Sayaka's corpse to Madoka, and it's like, Jesus Christ. As it turns out, for every person you save as a magical girl, it equals a person you will curse as a witch. And you can try to think about the details in this, but this is an insanely karmically equal universe, very fatalistic in that way. That's just how this world works. Even separate from magical girls and witches, this is a very karmic universe that they craft. Kyubey then explains the lore and why all of this is coming to place, right? All right, brace yourselves.
Oh, I'm braced. I already know what's coming, but I'm braced.
Are you familiar with the inevitable heat death of the universe?
Oh, yeah. I think about it way too frequently.
Intimately familiar.
Yeah.
When you think of that, other guys think of the Roman Empire. It's on the daily.
Okay, now let's be perfectly clear. I also think about the Roman Empire.
I also think about the heat death of the Roman Empire.
Yeah, so, which it's a nice Venn diagram. The overlap is very small, but it is there.
So, Kyubey and his kind, they recognized that entropy gradually increases in the universe, things get spread out, disseminated, and, yada, 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 eventually get the inevitable heat death of the universe. Kyubey and his sort, they don't want that to happen, or at least to postpone it. All right? Just as extending a life is good, so extending a universe would be that, but much more. All right? So the universe needs to take its medicine. In this case, how do you do that? Well, you got to break the laws of thermodynamics. You need to break the laws of thermodynamics so that you can insert more energy into the world and thus prevent or slow down at least that inevitable heat death.
Yeah.
They noticed that only happens when a magical girl becomes a witch. There's a huge energy spike of energy inserted into the world. This process requires powerful emotions. Kyubey and his kind, they don't have emotions, or they kind of do, but it's mental illness. That was a bit of a weird point. And they see humans.
Yeah, that was very much early 2000s.
Well, and it also doesn't. It's like, oh, so you are capable of emotion then, but asterisk. Wait a moment, and it actually makes way less sense. It's a line that tries to make him kind of like more alien and ominous, and it just kind of is stupid. And not for like ableist reasons, just for lore reasons. It just is inconsistent. But they notice that humanity, they have emotions all the time. They have such strong and volatile emotions. Hey, baby, that's how we're going to get so much energy for the universe. We'll be able to prolong this universe for indefinite period of time. I don't think they ever give any number. So that's the big plan. And it is interesting and also not what I want.
Nothing's ever good enough for you, Remington. Such a strain on our relationship.
It just feels... It's a weird direction to take, I suppose.
Oh, no, I agree. It's a weird direction, but it's an okay direction as far as I'm concerned.
It's fine. It doesn't help that, like, through the explanation and it is a huge lore dump.
Yes.
And it also...
We call that the Shaft special, Rem. Shaft has a lot of high concept anime, and every once in a while, they'll just be like, all right, here you go. Enjoy the stew. And it's like, well, I didn't know we were getting a stew. But you're getting it, and it's a very full stew.
I'm like, this is very interesting, right? Very original, but also, is it the best route to take with this show? And I would say no. Honestly, maybe it's just something that, like, every time a magical girl turns into a witch, Kyubey becomes a little stronger, or some very simple bullshit like that, right? Or that he and his kind harvest the energy from that. Similar, but simpler. And also, the issues are less with this somewhat complex plot idea, and more so that in the following 4 episodes, we get so in the fucking weeds of this.
Oh, yeah.
The next 4 episodes, look, if you saw like episodes 3 and 4 and you're like, God damn, this show is punchy, right? It'll show up, smack you upside the jaw and run away, and you'll be like, what the hell? These last 4 episodes are largely the exact inverse of that. It's them taking you to a room, being like, all right, sit down. All right. I just want you to read over this and see what you're thinking, what you're feeling about it. Once you're done, there'll be a little questionnaire afterwards, and you're like, oh, this is not the vibe that we had earlier. And once again, they do decent things, and also less decent things. But it's just that it's losing that intensity that it had, right? And so that's just largely because instead of dealing with a story about friendship and corrupted psychology among people you love, now we are dealing with cosmic horrors and the end of the universe.
Yeah.
And I don't think that raising the stakes in that way helps. It's kind of a Ghibli. It's kind of a Ghibli, where I'm like, oh man, I'm loving all these characters and the very personal stakes that they have. And then it's like, but then what if we had this thing? Oh, are they all gonna die? And I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Where the hell? it just, the stakes don't match the story that was being told, which was already a high stakes story in a lot of ways. I don't think it needed to be, this case, it was like already life or death. And it was already like, the city and the world is in danger. And then it looks you in the eyes and it says, and what if the metaphysical fabric of reality was also in danger? And I'm like, no, I don't think we needed that step. I think that's like one level too high.
And yet, I kind of love that weird shift.
That's like if I'm watching the Avengers, right?
Yep.
All right. Big Bad is threatening to destroy the world. Oh no. And then halfway through the movie, the Avengers realize, but if the world gets destroyed, that means that Walt Disney Studios will be destroyed. And if they get destroyed, then we will all cease to exist. Not just now, but forever. Don't you understand? And I was like, oh, what the fuck?
Hey, Rem,
I love some good meta stories and metaphysical stories.
Hey, Rem, I know you're trying to frame this as a bad thing, but with how bad Marvel movies have been in like the past 6 years, I would genuinely love that. I want them to get metaphysical with it, because at least it'd be different and weird.
It would be a change of pace, but I think that Madoka was already a change of pace, and now it's trying to do... What it is that it's doing something different, and it had an identity doing that for like largely the first half. But then it decides it needs to do everything maximally different that it possibly can, even if those ideas don't cohere as strongly. And that's where I think it kind of derails. Basically, I'm like, give me a separate magical girl show where that's the plot twist. Or, once again, we'll script doctor it, all right? Because I think I can salvage this son of a bitch. I say salvage as if this isn't Beloved.
Yeah, no, like, it is the thing that helped change magical girls for a lot of the modern audience. And for those who are about to say, what about Utena? Yes, I know about Utena. Don't worry. We'll get there eventually.
Look, we all know about Utena, guys.
Look, sometimes your girlfriend turns into a car. You know, you just have to live with that.
What the fuck?
Don't worry about it, Rem. That's for the future. The distant future, because I think that's the movie.
All right, cool. So, the girls are like, we need to try saving Sayaka. Maybe if Kyoko goes and plays defense while Madoka, like, talks to her, then maybe there's a chance of saving her from her witch self now, right? And they even, like, Kyoko asks Kyubey about it, right? And is like, is this possible? And Kyubey's like, look, homie, I got no idea. I ain't never seen it done before, but magical girls kind of, I mean, they literally break the laws of physics and reason. So who am I to say no? Which I also love. Once again, I love every element of Kyubey that's on screen, right? Everything he does is great. I just think it's two separate characters in two separate stories. So they go and try that strategy, and there's Sayaka is this like freaky grand conductor mermaid bug. It's so good visually, guys. God, I can't emphasize how good the visuals are, because all I can say is like, wow, really good visuals. And that doesn't give it the value it deserves. I mean, but just trust me on this.
Like, there's a reason people always cite 2011 as such a great year for anime. This is one of the big reasons. Like, it is just so gorgeous and so twisted and so outside the norm.
Yeah. So, Kyoko is defending and Madoka is pleading. And Hamura arrives and Kyoko's like, all right, now you protect Madoka. I'm going in. Kyoko's like, look, this plan didn't work, but I'll tell you what, Sayaka, I'll die with you. Which I don't think that this is super warranted. I also don't think that they built enough for Kyoko's like kind of change of heart and character building here. That was just a little bit messy. But the sentiment in the moment are nice. The sentiment and the moment are better than how it came to be, I suppose. And so Kyoko shatters her soul gem. Now they're both witches together. And Kyubey is talking to Hamura and is like, hey man, if you want to beat that big old German witch, you're gonna need Madoka. And Hamura's like, hey, how about fuck you? A few things I do enjoy, because, there have been some criticisms, but I also have plenty of praise. I love the wide variety of settings. There's not a ton of repeat settings here.
Mm-hmm.
They'll even just be like, all right, hey, now we're on the train tracks. Just, it's variety. We're in the city somewhere. I don't know. And I appreciate that. Episode 10, it's a backstory episode, all right? And this is where we see a lot of what's going on. Hamura, you see, she was a shy girl new to school, and Madoka was really kind to her. And she met Madoka and Mami, who were magical girls. Hamura struggled to do anything, but was saved by Mami and Madoka. And she just really admired them, but eventually the giant witch came and killed them both. And it was like, oh no, I don't want Madoka to die. Fuck Mami, I guess.
Hey, look, it's that tragic Yuri that people love, They just really want to soak in it. It's okay if you let one of the other lesbians die as long as you get the main ship out of the way.
Here's the issue. The final 3 episodes are going to tell you that the emotional core of this whole show is Hamura and Madoka.
Yeah.
And that's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
Because all that they do to establish this is like, no, guys, in this 5 minutes of episode 10 at the beginning, see how Madoka was generally kind to Hamura? All right, so they have chemistry together, and that is the emotional core. And I'm like, no, that isn't enough. Like, Sayaka and Madoka have had great chemistry together, a great dynamic together. We can tell how deeply both of them care about each other. Even Kyoko and Sayaka have better chemistry than Hamura and Madoka. Hamura is a fine character until she becomes the emotional core of this show. She shouldn't be the protagonist. She's a good, mysterious outsider and a really bad protagonist. And I think that's where I'll probably frustrate people the most.
Oh, hey, Rem, would you like to know what the biggest argument of the show is?
Let's hear it.
It's people's opinions on Homura.
Yeah.
It is genuinely, like, one of the biggest arguments in this show is, like, Homura being right, Homura being wrong, Homura being so central, so Homura being so... Like, Homura is the point of contention for the diehard fans of this show.
Especially because, like, we've seen one display from Homura to Madoka that seems to indicate genuine care, besides just sort of like a rational detachment from everything, right? And meanwhile, there's been a strong detachment from Hamura to Kyoko and Mami and Sayaka, and they're just which once again, as an interesting outsider character, I'm down. That's fine. But then when you're like, hey, actually, they've been the main character all along, and their relationship with Madoka, which is not exclusively, but very much primarily built within the first 5 minutes of episode 10. I'm sorry, that's not enough. You didn't do enough there. All right. I don't buy their dynamic enough. And then the show just has to, instead of showing you, keep telling you, no, but look how many times Hamura rewinds time every time Madoka dies and stuff. See? Because she cares so deeply. And I'm like, but I still don't really understand why she cares so deeply. We didn't see enough. We simply did not see enough. And so it doesn't feel believable. And thus, oh shit, the emotional core of this show, which is also, this show will tell you, in overt terms, the single most important relationship in the universe or that could ever be. That's not me saying that it feels like that. It's saying that the show tells you that's what it is. Motherfucker, you needed to make it a better relationship then. Because this ain't it. And so it ends up really falling flat here. Interesting little idea. Basically, she keeps rewinding time, which that also doesn't make any fucking sense, because if the incubators have enough power that they're able to rewind time or grant the ability to rewind time, then they can literally rewind entropy. And thus, what is the point of anything? Oh no, episode 10's real bad, Shaun. Episode 10 really fucks it. It takes their already a little too complex highbrow plot idea, And it blasts it like Hamura blasts Kyubey, all right? There's so many holes. It's just not, I don't buy in to the friendship between the two of them. Yeah, it's not good, Shaun.
Hey man, it's not me you gotta convince. It's the people who have been waiting 6 years for this episode.
So it's very disappointing. Episode 11, we learned that a magical girl's power is equal to her karmic destiny, and Hamura, by rewinding time a bunch, has more or less imbued Madoka with so much fucking karmic destiny, which is the reason that Madoka has so much potential as a magical girl now, right? We get Saika's funeral, Kyubey defends factory farming, and shows Madoka. It's just ancient aliens, ain't it? It's just literally ancient aliens, because he's like, hey, we're an alien race and we are responsible for all the major events through history. Kind of stupid, and not terrible, but kind of dumb. Hamura and Madoka discuss the Big Witch and how shit's gonna be fucked, and a giant storm happens, and Hamura's like, I'll handle it myself. The public goes into shelters, Hamura fights the Big Witch, and shit's crazy, but eventually, she gets injured, oh no, but Madoka shows up, and is like, I'm sorry, Hamura, I know what I gotta do. And then is like, I wish to erase all witches from past and present, and because she has so much karmic destiny, and thus so much magical girl potential, she's able to make the wish that of a god, and she's able to erase all witches from past and present. Keep in mind, all right, the show has asked me to think deeply about it, all right? The show has said, hey, motherfucker, strap in and think about this, why don't you? And so I'm gonna, all right? This ain't a mindless show where thinking about it isn't the intended result. This show wants you to think about it. Would you agree, Shaun?
I don't know if I want you dragging me into this, Rem.
In front of our jury of listeners, would you agree that this show not just invites, but demands you to think critically and deeply about it?
Yes, Rem, I would.
Of course, you can't have a plot like this without it being a yes. So, we know that magical girls and witches are those with the most karmic destiny, or in other words, the most important and influential women who have ever existed throughout time, right? Mm-hmm. And by getting rid of witches, first, what does that mean? Could it mean getting rid of magical girls? No, just the witches, just the negative side effects. Okay. And so thus you are removing the suffering and the downside, as it were, at the most pivotal times in history. Obviously, that's going to radically change the landscape of history. In fact, it's going to do so to the maximal degree. Madoka sort of just like ascends. We see a sort of ethereal scene on a higher plane where she's having tea with Mommy and Kyoko. She eradicates the Big Witch and all witches from all time, and including the awful witch she would become with all of this great power, right? Hamura wakes in the reforming universe. She's linked to time. Okay, sure, I'll let them have that one. Because the witch includes Madoka, she doesn't become that witch. Madoka is going to disappear from all timelines. No one will have any memory of her except those that will... kind of undercutting yourself, but that's fine. We don't worry about that. We have multiple goodbyes and things like that, and then we cut to the present day. All right. Now, Shaun.
Yeah.
The world has radically changed.
Yes, it has.
All right.
Yep. We
have removed the most miserable events from the most important moments in history caused by the most important people, at least women. She went all around and she prevented all of the magical girls throughout history from becoming witches. Asterisk, not a single black girl visited by Madoka. Kind of weird. They visit like a couple brown girls, but not a single one of them. Not a single one of them was black. What the fuck? Japan.
God, Japan's so much better now. It's so much better now.
But the world radically shifted. So what do we see now? We see modern Japan exactly as it is. And we see the girls, except Madoka is no longer there. And they're magical girls. Ooh, what? but what is the point of being a magical? Well, see now, magical girls, when they die, instead of becoming a witch, they just vanish forever. And now, also, they can still generally get corrupted by using their powers, and instead of fighting witches, they fight wraiths. So nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Well,
it has, but it hasn't, you know?
No, there's literally... Look, motherfucker, if you're like, hey, I'm going to change the most influential moments throughout history, all right? All of them. And then I look thousands of years into the future, and it's the same trajectory. Motherfucker, you didn't change anything. I know the butterfly effect. One minor change, and things would be on a radically different course. The only way for it to end up the exact same is for shit to be the exact same. Oh, it's so much better instead of witches, we dissolve into nothingness. What? Huh? Oh, now, instead of witches having to arrive from magical girls dying, now wraiths just pop up whenever people feel bad. What the fuck? If anything, it's worse. So what the fuck are we doing? What was the point of all that? You say, hey, there's this big conflict. We're just going to wish it away, which is it kind of makes sense, but it's literally a Deus Ex Machina. It's going to be disappointing. And then it doesn't do anything except remove Madoka. Madoka just wished she was never born. I thought she was going to make a wish like, oh, I wish the incubators never, got to Earth, which would make a lot of fucking sense. And I thought that was the direction it was going. And that would be a little bit more unique and interesting. Even at one point asks, she's like, so you're telling me if the incubators never found Earth, never came here, we wouldn't be having these issues? And Kyubei's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, now she gets it. She doesn't.
Madoka isn't the smartest cookie,
with her
unfortunately.
ultimate god wish, she wished to stop existing. And that's it. What the fuck, man? Come on. Come on now.
Oh, man.
And then, she wishes to stop existing, but then Hamura and, her brother still remember her. So, I don't know.
Hey, man. I just know that we're going to get so many emails about, well, now you need to watch the movie.
Oh, Jesus.
Which I can't comment because I haven't seen it.
They shat the bed. It's still probably going to end up getting a 7 out of 10 because they do a lot that's so good. A lot of the characterization is really strong until a few decisions are made. A lot of the moments are really emotionally resonant. A lot of the ideas are great, and a lot of the visuals are goddamn astounding. But Jesus Christ. And I would even be fine with an end where it's like, oh, nothing changed. If it looked me in the eyes and it said it with its chest, right? If it said it with its chest and was like, yeah, it's just as bleak as before, isn't that absolutely fucked? Instead, it's like, oh, it's better. It's just a little bit different. Oh man, thank Madoka. It's a little bittersweet, but it's just how things are. And I'm like, no, what the fuck? It's borderline nonsensical.
Oh God, I'm gonna so love the emails. They're gonna be so juicy, Rem. It's been a while since we've had this kind of response.
All right, well let's distract them. All right, I said I had some script doctoring to do. All right. All right, I'm gonna try to preserve as much as possible.
Okay.
Which in this show, oh boy, that's gonna be a wild ride. We start out the same, the exact same. All right.
Okay.
When they're meeting mommy, but before mommy dies or shortly after mommy dies, we're going to recruit the third wheel. All right. The third wheel's getting brought into this.
Mm-hmm.
So Hitomi is going to be a relevant character. If you want, you can replace Hitomi with Hamura in this example. Cause I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think I have Hamura in this. So look, Hitomi is gone. Hamura is filling that third wheel role where it's like friends, but not the duo. So we still have Hamura. We just don't have Hamura doing Hamura things. This is just normal Hamura. Hamura isn't in a time loop. All right. Somebody else is going to get time loop powers and it's not going to be Hamura. So, mommy dies. Oh shit. A big witch is coming. Sayaka and Hamura have become magical girls. Maybe Madoka becomes a magical girl. And they're all decently powerful, doing stuff, but recognize it's important. Maybe there's a little tension between Sayaka and Hamura. Right. Frankly, maybe they're just both crushing on Madoka. Why not?
Because
they are. So around episode 6, maybe 7, they fight the big witch. All right? And bada bing, bada boom, they lose. Madoka is gonna die. And then, because this is the relationship that has chemistry behind it and matters, Sayaka rewinds time. Sayaka rewinds time and goes and starts looping it up, all right? Loops it up. We do one loop again, this time in the next like 2 episodes, it's another loop, and that fails. The next episode is multiple loops failing, and Sayaka's losing her fucking mind. Each loop getting a little bit more corrupted, a little bit more dangerous, right? Oh no, oh shit. All the while, sure, we can keep imbuing Madoka with all of this immense power. Sayaka's figuring it out and is like, all right, I can't have Madoka involved with it. Blah 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 blah. And then largely, I'll be honest, you could even tell a similar story from there. You gotta figure out a new ending. You can't have that be the ending. I'm not allowing that. I will let them keep the aliens trying to prevent the heat death of the universe. All right, that's my concession. If for the ending, you know what? Here's how we do it. We have Madoka is finally there's 2 options for the ending I'll provide. All right. 1, you do the ending they did and then cut it off before we see the modern day. All right? They say their ethereal goodbyes. Sayaka and Hamura wonder, like, what's the world going to look like so radically changed and without you? And Madoka says, I don't know. And they go into the uncertainty together. Screen goes white, and then we cut. We do not see what happened because, Jesus Christ, why would you try? And we certainly don't see that literally nothing has happened. That's an insane choice. Second option, we go full Life is Strange, all right? And eventually Sayaka chooses Bay over Bay, you know what I mean? Says, hey, fuck the city, me and my girl are gonna get out of here.
Oh, God. I take it you saw what happened with the sequel, yeah?
Oh, yeah, it's just a little messy and whatnot. Yep. But those are the 2 endings I will provide as options, all right? One, a little bit more faithful to what this is doing. The other, if you just want to continue shipping Madoka and Sayaka. And bada bing, bada boom, there we go. I know, some people are going to be like, oh man, Hamura playing a different role. It'd be fine. It would be fine. Nobody will say, oh no, Hitomi's gone, because no one cares. Some people will be frustrated that I never mentioned Kyoko. I don't think she's important in this. I think her character was pretty solid. I don't think she fits the overall structure. I think it got a little too messy and lacked elegance. Let's just get a nice, interesting triangle and focus on that, right? Who knows? Maybe in this one, you can have Hamura, who like, gets corrupted. Maybe even, like, every single cycle, Hamura gets corrupted, and it's fucked. In fact, why not? You know, let's go balls to wall. Let's say every single cycle, Hamura gets corrupted, and she turns into the big witch. And that could be interesting. But yeah, anything like that, I think would be more compelling and neater and not kind of a mess. Once again, I'm giving this a thumbs up, all right? I'm giving this show a thumbs up and noting that in some regards, it's next level. In other regards, it's a little trash.
Oh, God, Rem. Oh, this is so good. This is, ooh. Oh, this is what I was hoping for, Rem. This is more than I could ask for, honestly. And I think this is the best case scenario for this show, Rem, because I still love it. Yeah, it's a little sloppy at the end, but that's okay, because this show will kind of forever be seared into my brain, because like young, I think I was what? No, I don't want to say exactly how old I was, but I was the appropriate age for this show when it came out, let's just say. And it has been seared into my brain cavity for forevermore. And honestly, all its weird flaws aside, I still think this is a great show, and I think anybody can get extreme value out of it, even if it's nowhere near as perfect as other people claim it to be.
You guys heard it here first, folks. Shaun Rollins says it's fine that Madoka didn't see any black girls.
I did not say that, sir. I did not say that at all.
I think it's kind of an issue, but Shaun, he's fine with it.
It's definitely an issue, Rem, but also, it was Japan in the early 2000s, you know? Like, look, we've come a long way in the past decade, but, you know, we still have discourse over a lot of things. Representation is a bit rough, but it's getting better. We're working on it. We're working on it. Like, man, if you could see how like much Black culture has positively affected the anime scene, like in both the creation and background fandom side of things, like, oh my goodness. It's so fascinating and so wonderful. But look, Madoka, maybe, look, there's a new movie coming out in the future, like the fourth movie or something like that. One or two Black girls, that would be great. Madoka, come on.
Well, but also, I feel like, look, when you're like, all right, let's restart the universe, that should usually just be like, all right, the story's over, let's tell a new story.
Right. And I don't know the exact nature of the story with the movies. Like, I'm sure people are gonna tell us that it's very different. And I specifically didn't watch the movies because I didn't want my opinion of these standalone 12 episodes to be colored by the movie itself. And also, back when the movie came out, I had finished watching it and I was way too busy watching many other things, many much worse things. I probably would have been better off watching the Madoka movie, but man, I had to watch all of the schlock of 2012 and 13 because I was in too deep. I was in too deep. God, was I in too deep.
That checks out.
Like, genuinely, that was my Sword Art Online period.
Oh, God.
Yeah, hey, Rem, I told you back in the day, young Shaun loved it. It's only, when Shaun started understanding how media and stories work when things burst into clarity. But, 2012 was a rough time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially for our generation, let me tell you. And especially in the anime sphere. But I guess the only thing I need to ask you, Rem, is do you know what the MAL score is for Madoka Magica?
All right, at least an 8.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember, because obviously I've heard sentiment about it. It's been 6 years.
Yes. We didn't actually do the MAL score rating way back when we started the
Sure.
podcast,
But what I'm trying to remember is, like, especially early on, within, like, the first 50 or so, I remember that there were a handful of shows that I sung praises for that I remember seeing skepticism from others that would continue if I kept watching. And so I'm like, is this one that people are like, oh, really? You like that? Oh, he didn't watch much of it. Or something like that. I don't think that's... I think that this one is
not
beloved.
the case for this one, right?
I think this one's just well-beloved.
Yeah.
I think... Oh, God. Anytime I go above 8, it's way harder to calibrate.
I'm aware.
Because we're in rare air, right? And I'm like, all right, I will go 8 point.
Okay.
Going strong so far.
Yeah.
Let's go with, you know what, Shaun?
Yeah.
You know me. Love to blaze it. Let's do a little... let's possibly go way too high. Do a little double blaze action. 8.40. 840 blaze it, baby. Let's go!
Yeah, man, it really shows how much you know about weed culture.
Let's go!
Okay, Rem. Well, with 770,000 ratings...
I think I overestimated, but I'm going to maintain my guess.
Well, it's too late now. I'm already giving you the answer.
Yeah, so. I'm locked in. I'm locked in.
All right. Puella Magi Madoka Magica is sitting nice and pretty at 8.37.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
The meme intuition plus meme got a good result.
Yes. Yeah. Like, the detractors for this show, Rem, are few and far between. Like, it's pretty straightforward. Like, the biggest...
honestly, that's probably bad news for me.
Oh, yeah, no, like 100%. Like, the people who are diehard fans of the show and see no flaws in it whatsoever are going to come for your throat. Like, that's going to happen regardless.
2/3 of this show is next level shit. All right? 1/3 of this show is kind of...
And those are Remington's opinions and Remington's opinions alone. So please, if you're going to target an email, target it at him.
And if you want to know my email, it's just...
No.
What the fuck? at gmail.com.
Dylan, cut that, please.
Just send your email over there.
Fucking cut that. I swear to God, that is my professional business
or
email.
If you want to mail him directly, then his address...
Do not dox me on a podcast, Rem. You'd be doxing Dylan too, and he will kill you.
No, that's my address, Shaun. I'm sorry, that's my address.
Christ almighty. So I guess the final question is, Rem, any chance you'd want to see the Madoka movies just to see what they do with it?
Oh, God. As a curiosity, yes, but I'm not terribly optimistic, unfortunately.
You don't need to be optimistic. It's just that people are gonna demand we watch the movies now.
I'm more curious than hopeful. I feel like it's a little bit of a Promised Neverland where I'm like 10 out of 10 start and then like a bit of a rough finish that seems to indicate less than I would like. And so even though I liked what I got, I don't think that what I liked would be the thing that continues.
Well, looking at the MAL score and how many people watched it, people seem to love the movie, so, it's hard to say. It did come out 2 years after the series ended, so that's a little frame of reference for you. But, who can say? Who can say, except for the people that watched it, and apparently there's a fourth one in the works, but I don't know. Like, in theory, it's coming out in 2025, which is kind of wild, because that's, like, over a decade later. But,
yeah.
Again, I haven't watched, I haven't watched Rebellion, so I don't know. I'm probably going to have to, because people are going to be like, how the hell has Shaun not seen Rebellion? But, that's just the situation I'm in. Either way, with that in mind, thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed Remington finally returning to something that he's put off for so long.
That I've put off!
Then please head on over to wherever you get podcasts and leave a review. They mean the world to us, and we do read every single one. And if that is still not enough for you, twitch.tv/anime out of context. For myself, Dylan, and Remington occasionally play video games very poorly. And if that is still not enough, patreon.com/anime out of context, where you gain access to all kinds of lovely bonus material, including have the opportunity to be thanked live on the podcast. So, Rem, who are we thanking this week?
Well, as always, we would like to send our regards to all of our bland bitch protagonists, as well as our magical girls, who we really appreciate. But moving on, we get to our yandere waifus, who are, this is reserved for you instead of the magical girls. You're being corrupted into witches. And on that list, we have...
That's not very nice.
I know, hey, man, gotta keep the energy flowing, We have 010, Zoid's New Century is a sports anime, prove me wrong. Xanax, Yandere Neko, Wonka Domain Expansion Inflation Porn, Wolfire 56, Where's Our DBZ Review, you ginger fuck? When's the Bible Out of Context on Lot and His Daughters? Wes Kane, Welcome to Anime in Full and Complete Context, the show where watching Requiem for a Spoonman at 0.5 speed, Unhinged Cracks, Totally Good, Titan CNH, The Susanator, The Flying Spaghetti Monster, The Danish Viking Will Conquer the World with Roronoa Zoro as my navigator. The Capybara has not forgotten Rem's comments on Gojo, Repent You Fool. Homie's got weird eyes. The bird's name is Cat, Misaka says bemused. The bird's name is Cat, Misaka says, bemused at her own joke. That has no place in fairy tales, 100 girlfriends. Thankful, Yankful, Blessed. Turban, Super Zoo, Stacy's mom, slit the throat of reason and reality. Shaun wants to give Spoonman a thank and yank. Shaun show Rem Kaguya-sama dubbed in My Life Is Yours. Shaun's big gulp of Rem's love nectar. Shaun ruined my happy sugar life when he couldn't finish saying my name like a goddamn coward. Shaun, I wanted to try to bang your grandma in this weird tunnel.
It went too far. That's all I'm gonna say. It went too far.
But she stole my banana and challenged me to tag. Meanwhile, the one talking about banging Shaun's grandma didn't go far enough. Shaun can do it to do these nuts.
This is why you're not allowed to see my grandma, Rem.
Because she wouldn't be able to resist me.
The woman is 88, Rem.
Woo! Seraphim the Shark plushie, Ross Palmer, Rhiannon Williams. Remington wants good horror, he should just look in the mirror. Remington uses the ear crackers of liberation. Remington is right. Remington chase waifu, whipper, and husbando hustler extraordinaire. Rem creamy mommy is not more of Shaun's MILF Bukake bullshit. Rem uses the drums of liberation to free all weeps from bad anime. Rem hit rock bottom is still on top of Shaun. Rem doesn't completely hate my favorite shows. I think this might be like one of the first times that the Remingtons on the list outnumber the Shauns.
Yeah.
It's strange, or at least it's close. Regulatreon, Raptor King, pro tips out of context, the pellet with the poisons and the flagon with the dragon, the vessel with the pestle is the brew that is true. Professor Fox, Pockwell Musico, Oni Chi Chi 10 out of 10 family show. My favorite dinosaur is the Triceratops. Mr. Information when finds out people have been spreading misinformation. Misaka must have heard you wrong. The movie she watched was I Want to Eat Your Pancakes, but it was very moving. Makeka7 Hirto, making fake mal account so I can rate Forest Fairy 5, 10 out of 10. Macaroni Uchisa, Lucky Star is the king of Moe. Link Joe Girl, the Nerd 98. Kirby's mouth can gape as big as Shaun's big hole. King Rich Rock, Cassidy, Joey Wheeler voice this week's Boy Wizard team for the first time will get anal. Jax, Jam Hands, Jake Dent, I'm not a MILF, but Shaun can make me one. I'm the original guy that made you.
That took me a second to process.
Honestly, that's a hell of a pickup line for Shaun.
Pickup lines rarely get used on me.
I think if you approached him, hit him with that line, he wouldn't know how to respond. He would blush. But 100% that'd be a lock. You'd have him in bed that night. Like
I don't know how I feel about you advising our listeners on how to seduce me.
100%.
Look, I know it's been a while, but I don't think that's the route to go.
So if you ever see Shaun Rollins, I'm the original guy that made you say cunt every week. That other guy is just a pretender. I will never get more Ace of the Diamond. Now I cry. I will be on episode 341. I can't believe I made an account for this. Hokaling Yokai, Glenn Michael Dolan, Fern the guy learning guitar by watching anime. Farmer Weeb is hungry, please send tacos. Fantide, Erica McCorkle, Diana Madrid, Drapixian Worshipper, Danielle Riot, Daddy Rum, tell me a bedtime story. Cheese Monkey, Chair the God, supports Rem in the dark times. Cat girls are best girls, so give me them cute little paws. Brock Hard for Geodude, Shadow the Hedgehog, you got a small dick, it's the size of this walnut, except way smaller. Blake Star, Bento Kato. Been a while since I've changed my name on here, but I got a third 4.0, can't believe it, I'm also changing my major from funeral.
Audio glitch.
AJ Tunnels, Aisha Gaji, a Moe piece of trash. And now we move on to the Boy Wizard tier. Tell them what they're going to get this time, Shaun.
Oh, man. I had to think long and hard about this one, Rem. I'm going to give them a magical girl anime.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Willy Wonka's Wonky Willy.
You're going to get the one we just watched, Puella Magi Madoka Magica.
Weak some shit asking for a darling in a France.
You're going to get, hilariously, the top on this list are all Madoka Magica. You're going to get a Madoka Magica movie, Beginnings.
Umbrasite.
Madoka Magica movie 2, Eternal.
That Mouse Girl.
Madoka Magica 3, Rebellion.
Tails noticed a strange man across the bar.
Revolutionary Girl, Utena.
Spoon Man the Aristocrat.
Card Captor Sakura.
Spooky, scary Sammy K sees you shiver with Antissa. Patient.
Princess Tutu.
Silent Secondary.
Precure All-Stars Movie F. My god, that is a lot of pastel. That's not part of the title. That's my observation of the cover.
Shaun, why is there so much yaoi out there involving Hisoka?
Oof. Like that would take a podcast episode in and of itself to explain. You're going to get Maho Shoujo Lyrical Nanoha Ace.
Shaun, you say we haven't had a bad to good revisit, but haven't revisited Love Chunibyo and Other Delusions, you cuck.
You're going to get Sailor Moon.
Shaun thinks Humanity Has Declined will be better suited to my tastes and will show me that anime next week.
Sailor Moon S.
Scourge, best $20 spent, LMAO.
Sailor Moon Stars.
Rosca.
Sailor Moon Crystal.
Rem needs to watch Humanity Has Declined if not for the loaf of bread committing suicide.
Heart Catch Precure.
Rare Gumiko has decided to show the anime Humanity Has Declined instead of the Monogatari series.
Oh my Christ. Sailor Moon Cosmos movie.
Nightshade Blade is done gushing over magical girls.
Go Princess Precure.
Monogatari is a spooky psychological thriller with vampires, curses, possessed people, dead children walking the streets.
Star Twinkle Precure Hoshino Uta ni Omoi wo Komate.
Good God. Mike.
Yuki Yuna.
Miguel DeLeon.
Yuki Yuna movie 2.
Maybe Shaun will show Rem Humanity Has Declined instead of the Monogatari series, Chicken Corpses, and Ave Maria.
Card Captor Sakura, Clear Card Hen.
I summon the Ultimate Exodia.
Oof. My Christ. So Rem, we've never discussed the Pretty Cure series, but based on what I'm looking at, it's convoluted as fuck, and that's saying something. So they're getting Hugto Precure Futariwa Precure Movie All-Star Memories.
Hey now, you're a Precure All-Star Memory.
Like, look, and damn is one of those words dangerously close to something else.
Oh no, I have complicated emotions about Mushroom Pup.
Sailor Moon R.
I'm a regulation listener that listened to Face Jam, but now listen to 100% Eat Rare Kumiko.
Revolutionary Girl Utena, The Adolescence of Utena.
Hopping on the Monogatari train, because why not?
Sorry about this, gushing over magical girls.
Diddy Wonka wants syrup on his chalky bar.
Demon Girl Next Door.
Crosskirk.
Flip Flappers.
Crimson Reapers just because of the scythes.
Heartcatch Precure Movie Hana no Miyako de Fashion Show desu ka?
Jesus Christ. Carver 271.
Hirogaru Sky Precure.
Butler Rat wonders when Shaun was going to finish the fanfic he promised.
Maho Shoujo Lyrico Nanoha Strikers.
Blood Cell, the one of many that rushes to Rem's lower half when he thinks of Gene Wilder's candy cane stashed in his pocket.
Katsute Maho Shoujo to Ako wa Te Kai Shiteta.
Beethoven 1201.
Maho Shoujo Lyrical Nanoha Detonation.
Anime Mashup of the Week, Mrs. Vampire is my roommate.
Star Twinkle Precure.
Animated Z.
Fucking hell. Okay. Fate Kaliad Liner Prisma Ilia.
And every day that Raven comes to visit.
Sugar Sugar Rune.
Allfather apologizes for not making a Halloween-themed BuzzFeed quiz. Any ideas he had vanished into thin air.
Lady Jewel Pet.
And now we move on to the inappropriate Joey Wheeler tier, where Shaun, as Joey Wheeler, will tell you what magical girl weapon you use, and I, as Joey Wheeler, will tell you what happens when you become a witch. Also, as a side note, you can't have Hamra main in guns when one of the only other magical girls mained in guns.
Well, they were muskets.
It's fucking guns, dude.
Crap. What was I supposed to do?
You choose their weapons.
Their weapons. I see,
Yep.
I see.
Shaun won't take me to the aquarium because he hates arrow people. What a dick.
I'm not taking you to the aquarium because you're on the opposite side of the country. Like that. It's a matter of distance. Your weapon of choice is gonna be the lesbian pitchfork of destiny.
And when you become a witch, what's gonna happen is you're gonna turn into sort of like a biblically accurate angel, right? Except it's gonna be in a carnival, and out of each of the pupils on the eyes of the biblically accurate angel, some are gonna have arms coming out, some are gonna have legs, and some are gonna have devil tails.
No yams?
Well, and there'll be some yams.
Okay. You gotta keep the podcast jokes going, otherwise people won't like us anymore.
Next up, we got Rowdy-O.
Your weapon is gonna be really big magnifying glasses.
And when you transform into a witch, you will turn into a great glass sun. And within that sun, there will be the Spoon Man. Last but not least, we got Hi Shaun. It's the funniest joke ever. Also, the first 5 episodes of Zoids is enough.
Let's go with, you know what, 3 for 3. Your weapon of choice is going to be a very comically sized shovel.
And when you turn into a witch, you will be the big hole.
Wait a minute. Wait, I don't think we thought about the connotations of that. Hold on.
That's how it goes. Thank you all for tuning in. If you want to reach out for a comment, question, feedback, or recommendation, you can tweet us at AnimeConPod on Twitter, or send an email over on animeoutofcontext@gmail.com.
Once again, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. We love and appreciate you very, very much. And as always, don't fuck your sister.
Do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. Oh god, I'm so creamy.
We call that the Shaft Special, Rem. You sticky Asian sesame boy. Oh god, I'm gonna so love the emails. They're gonna be so juicy, Rem. It's been a while since we've had this kind of response.
All right, well here, let's distract them. All right, I said I had some script doctoring to do. All right.
All right,
I'm gonna try to preserve as much as possible.
Okay.
Which in this show, oh boy, that's gonna be a wild ride. And they go into the uncertainty together. Screen goes white, and then we cut.
Hey, you. You're finally awake. You are trying to cross the border, right?